software possible. And so I think we covered disk management, but maybe you'll do that next class. But what he asked me to cover with you today is the housekeeping part. So housekeeping, of course, usually talks about houses, but now we're talking about what is housekeeping? House in the computer world. I'm hoping we can do some sort of hands-on demonstration. So it's not just on the screen, but actually I've asked somebody to get my screwdriver set, and then we can open up the computer. We can look about a little bit about the inside of the computer. When I was young, my dad had someone come and show us what are the insides of the computer, so we know how to use it, but what is the stuff that needs to work? And how do we take care of it so it continues to work for us? All right. So, one comment. When we talk about housekeeping, often people are talking about computers, and so I have to do housekeeping on my computer. What you're usually talking about is optimizing the hard drive. I assume you all know what is the hard drive. The storage part of the computer, the memory. So housekeeping is a software process. You're late. It's a software process where the computer will remove old files, unused files, rearrange where the files are stored, on the drive. Has anybody ever done this before? Optimizing your hard drive? No one? Does anybody know how to do it? Huh? So, this is the easy screw here. Comes out. Take it out now. Who has ever seen this before? Raise your hand. No one? This is new? Alright. This is the inside of the computer. This is what we're going to be talking about today. This and some other parts of the computer. So, what do we see inside? Can everybody see from the back? Yeah? What do we see? So let me check it. So when you look at the front, what do you see? Okay, what? Port. Good. What else? What else do you see on the front? Plastic cover. There's, in the middle here. So it has some other thing. This is the DVD. Hello? Okay. So the front has, I want this around in a minute. Let me just. So the front has a DVD drive. You all know what is a CD or a DVD? Is that even too old for you guys? CDs? DVDs? You ever use one? No? Has anybody ever used a CD or DVD? Yes, okay. This is where it goes in the computer, right? Alright. It's turned off, so I can't open it. But normally, you would hit this button and a tray would come out. And you put the disc on it and you push it back. Yeah? Yeah. Alright. Then you have ports down here. Somebody said already. There's different kinds of ports. And that's it. Then you have the back. What do you see on the back? There's some ports, yeah. Here's our USB port, audio port, VGA port. What's this one? Power socket. And this one? Ethernet. Right? You want to connect to a network with a cable. Over there. What is this? Huh? Window? What's it a window for? Why does it need a window? Huh? Fresh air? And this one? The same. Now, what's on the other side of the window? Can you see? Who said? The fan. Why does a computer need a fan? The heck. What part of a computer gets hot? What part of a computer gets hot? The CPU. Where's the CPU? Huh? Can someone come and show us? Can you show us where it is? Who can show us where the CPU is? Anyone? So, see you probably can't see from here. We said at the front of the computer is the disk drive, right? This box here holds the drive. So you could actually unscrew this, and you could pull out the drive, the disk drive. It's connected, you see all these cables? The cables connect the different parts of the computer to each other. So the computer comes in parts, modules. There's the drive. There's the fan here, and the fan has a cable because it needs power. So it gets power from the power supply. The power supply is this part up here, which is where the power is. The power socket is here, then the other side of it is the power supply. The power supply connects to this green thing. Anybody see it? That's the motherboard. The motherboard is called the board. The green part here is the flat part. And it's the motherboard, it holds everything. So it holds the CPU, it holds the RAM. You know what RAM is? What is RAM? Random access memory. What is it for? What is RAM for? I couldn't hear because there were several voices. Somebody just say here. One at a time. Primary storage? Primary in what way? Temporary storage. Okay. Correct. So it's working memory. So when the computer is on, you're working on a file, or you've loaded a software. Although this is a computer class, you shouldn't have your phone out. So the RAM is where the data you're working with is temporarily stored, so that it's faster for the CPU to get there, to use that information. The place where files, when you turn off the computer, data is still stored, right? Where is it stored? When you turn off a computer, where does the data exist? I gotta get louder. The hard drive. Why is it called a hard drive? Because it's actually hard. In the early days of computers, we had hard drives and floppy disks. You ever seen a floppy disk? No? A little bit of computer history. Okay. Please ask questions. This is not, I don't want to hear my voice only for 2 hours. So, the very first kind of storage, well actually no, not the very first kind, but one of the early kinds of storage for computers was a thing like this. It was about this big, and it was floppy. You could bend it. It was actually bendable. And then you would put it in a slot, a bit like this slot, but a different one. And this stored half a megabyte, maybe, of storage. Very small storage. Then we had these ones, which were a bit smaller, that big, and they were actually hard, but we still called them floppy disks. The floppy disk meant it was external. You could put it in and out of the computer. The hard disk is what lives inside the computer. So in this case, the hard drive is this one here. Notice there's no way to put a plate there. Notice the hard drive, there's no way to access it from outside. It lives inside the computer. Am I telling you things you already know? This is the hard disk. Most of you probably use laptops instead of desktops, right? Does a laptop have a hard disk? There's a laptop. So we said this is the hard disk. This is where your files live. If I turn off the computer, all of the data is still stored on here. Right? If you turn off your laptop and you turn it on, there's still things there. Right? Right. Where? On the hard disk. The RAM gets white. Whenever the computer turns off, if it loses power, the RAM is empty. That's why, if you didn't save your document and the power goes out, it's gone. Because you didn't save it to the hard disk. So RAM is only there as long as there is power. Once you lose power, the RAM is white. But the hard disk will store as long long as okay. So we have a hard disk, we have an optical disk drive. Now we have CDs and DVDs, which are the evolution of this. This stored, I think, 1.5 megabytes. The CD stored 300 to 600 megabytes. The DVD holds 4 to 8 gigabytes. A hard disk, the very first computer I ever used had a hard disk of 40 megabytes. Today, we have hard disks with not only gigabytes, which is 1,000 times more than a megabyte, then we have terabytes, which is 1,000 times more than a gigabyte, so 1,000,000 times more than a megabyte. Now we have hard disks with 2 terabytes, 4 terabytes, but when was that, 30 years ago? We had 40 megabytes. And that was big. That was a huge drive. Couldn't do it. Okay. Huh? Good question. What else do we have? So on the motherboard, now all these cables, there are different kinds of cables. Right? Some of these cables are for power. We already said that. Some of them are for data. So data has to go from the hard disk or from the optical disk to the motherboard. Otherwise, the CPU can't get the data. So it can't do anything. So we have some of these cables, they have a usually when you work on your computer, you put it down like this. This has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 pins on one row, and another 12 pins on the other. 24 pins total. Each of those pins has a cable. Each of those pins has a cable that goes somewhere, connects something to something. This connects to right here. So this is an easy way to connect different parts to different parts. So I take this and I push it in here. And it has a little slipping thing on the back, which I just had to press to release, and then I could pull it out. You always want to be gentle with computers. Usually. Sometimes it can be. What else do we have? We have these things sticking out. They look like they're green. They look like a board also. You know what this is? RAM. Very good. All right. And there are two of them. And there's another one. This one is 2 GB. So if this is 2 GB, and this one is probably the same, how much RAM does this machine have? Both. If you wanted to give more RAM, what would you have to do? If you wanted to increase the RAM, what would you have to do? Buy a bigger one. Would you just add the bigger one? I would have these two, and I would add another. So this one has 2 RAM slots. Right? There are 2 slots here, this blue part. So I can only put 2 RAM. So if I want to increase, I have to take out 2 and put in something bigger. So if you bought 4 GB, one like this has 4 GB. How much would I have in total if I put in the 4 GB? I would have 6. I wouldn't have 4 plus 4. Alright? here's the fan. And where do you think, actually there's a couple things. What is this metal part here? Can you see it? There's a silvery metal part, this one. What is that? Huh? You can't see it. This one. Behind the cable set. You see it now? What is it? Anybody know? Guess? You can guess. Transformer? Good guess. Not what it is. Other guesses? Huh? Say louder. Resistor? No reasonable guess? Any other guesses? Huh? You have to speak louder or I can't hear you. I don't, it might be made of aluminum. I don't know what the material is. A heat sink. Or a heat dissipator. You see, if something is hot, you put, metal is very conductive for heat, right? It carries heat quickly. So you attach this metal piece and they have fins. And all these pieces of metal are just sticking up. So there's more surface area. Air can flow across and it carries the heat away. So it's a way of cooling what is underneath. So underneath this metal piece on the motherboard is a chip. The brain of the computer. And the chip is the thing that gets really hot. And there are two chips actually. You see, this is just a passive cooler. There's no fan, it's just a piece of metal, but it does enough getting rid of heat that it works. This one needs a fan. There's a, I don't know if you can see, there's a heat dissipator, metal underneath, and then a fan on top of that. So it needs to move air across the metal fin, the metal plate, in order to get rid of the heat faster. And underneath this is the main CPU. You can always tell where's the main CPU? It's the thing that needs the most cooling. And if you didn't have cooling, the computer would melt it. And then die. So, part of cleaning a computer, one of the main things in cleaning a computer is making sure the fan is running well. If you start hearing the fan is louder, it's not going as fast, then you should turn off the computer, open it, and probably the fan is dusty, so it's pulling air from around. So it's bringing in dust and things in the air. And so it gets clogged up over time. So you want to look in here. So you can see a bit of that. This one's not too bad. Sometimes the fin, one of the fan blades might break. And then you have to also repair the fan. So one of the most common computer repairs is actually changing fans or cleaning them. And if you don't do it, your computer is probably going to melt itself. If you don't, that's a lot more expensive. All right. Anything else going on here? There's another board here. Oh, that's the Ethernet card. So in here, you can take turns to come up and look at this. This one. So remember, this one here is an Ethernet port, right? Yeah. Everybody good? Yeah. So if you look on the back side, this has to connect to something on the other side. So something on the other side is this card here. And I call it a card because if you look where it touches the motherboard, it's actually plugged into a socket. So it's a removable, it's something you could change. And then there's other sockets, with these black things here, they're empty right now. But that's how you can add other things to a computer. And you would take out the metal plate here, the cover, That's the cover you see here. You can remove the cover from the inside and put in a new card and it would do something else. I just need all my tools. It might be disruptive to do this. We'll try and finish the slides early enough that you can take turns to come and look at the computer. Any questions so far? So we said housekeeping. What we're going to talk about today is physically cleaning a computer and its parts. But if you're talking to someone who works with computers, and you say housekeeping, they will probably think about defragmenting the hard drive. So when you store files to a hard drive, I don't have an actual hard drive to show you, but it looks a bit like a CD, but it's thicker, and there's usually many things together. And it can hold much more information. There's a thing that's so thin, and there's a little head that moves around, and there's this pin that reads. Yes, it reads 1000111100. That's how it reads. And so as you write files, save files, delete files, it starts to put them in different places on the disk, physically. Right? This file is in this part of the disk. This file is over here. This file is over here. And even the parts of the file can be in different places. So defragmentation is the process of taking all the different parts of one file and putting them together on the physical disk. So when you look on the computer, you just see one file, right? But on the storage, it might actually be saved in 3 different places, 5 different places. So this kind of housekeeping is a good thing to do, usually maybe once a year. It depends how much you use your computer. And if it starts getting slow, this might be one reason why your computer is getting slower. Because it has, every time it wants to find a file, it has to go look in 5 different places instead of in one. I will say that this defragmentation is specific to these actual hard disks, an actual physical disk that's finished. There are newer hard drives, we still call them hard drives, but they're solid state drives, SSD. You know SSD? Have you heard that? Yeah. So an SSD is actually, an SSD is made up of this type of memory. Well, not exactly this, because it doesn't lose it when it loses power, but it's using chips to store information instead of a disk. And those kinds of memory don't usually have this problem. So you don't have to do this housekeeping with the newer drive, SSD. But if you have a spinning disk drive like this, then you want to do defragmentation. And you have to be sure that it points the right way. Notice, I hope you can see it, there's a notch in the middle. There's a hole here, yeah? Notice that? Notice it's not in the middle. The middle is here, but the notch is here. This is the middle, but this is the notch. Why is this notch not in the middle? Yeah? It's not perfect. It's not by accident. It's on purpose. So when you come and look here, you'll see that it goes in this blue socket, right? And you might think, well, I can either put it in like this, or I could turn it around, and I could put it in like this. Maybe it doesn't matter which way I put it. This or like this. But it actually does matter. You have to put it in the right way. So how do they make sure that you put it in the right way? Is they put a notch not in the middle. And then on the socket, there's a little plastic piece that goes in the notch. And that way you make sure there's only one correct way to put this in. You can't put it in the wrong way. If you try, it won't work. So that's the purpose of the notch. This goes. This. This one takes a little bit of pressure. So, any questions about housekeeping? Right. So the rest of today will be talking about different parts of the computer that need cleaning and how to clean them. So, just like with most everything else, if you have a car, if you have a gadget or something, you need to clean it once in a while. Yeah? Same thing is true with computers. They are physical objects. They can accumulate dust, particles, germs, all sorts of things that can impede their correct operation. The computer can work less well just because it's dirty. In particular, you want to ensure good airflow. So that's one thing that you might check even more often. Which is also true for laptops, by the way. Now you might, for example, how does this get cooled? So there are different designs for cooling computers. Laptops are kind of this one doesn't actually have a fan. Some laptops have a fan. This one doesn't. Partly because the CPU is not as powerful, it doesn't generate as much heat. Second, the design creates some airflow. And you can feel it. If I put my hand on the back here, I can feel the hot air coming out. And that's how this one is. So if I stop feeling that hot air coming out, then my computer might be fixed. So there's a picture on the next slide that shows how dirty a computer can get. This one was pretty clean. This is not fine. Notice a lot of similarities. This has all the same parts as this, basically. It has this will be the power supply at the top. It's a different size. These are the disk drive and the hard disk. That's the cable. The motherboard is at the back. You can barely see that it's green. Okay. And then you have these cards, like the Ethernet card. I don't know what other card it is. And you can see how that's dirty. So don't wait until it's dirty. But now the question is, okay, if I open my computer, like we've done, if I open the computer, and I find it dirty, hopefully not this dirty, how do I clean it? What is the safe way to clean it? Can I just take the cleaning things I have at home and just go inside and start cleaning? What would happen? A blower. That would be a good way. Okay. Blower. You should disconnect some of the wires. Maybe. Would you use any kind of liquid?
Yes.
What kind of liquid would you use? Water? Water? Would you use detergent, like dish soap? No? Would you use alcohol?
Yeah.
Alcohol? Sure. Would you use a cloth? Cloth.
Yes.
What do you call it? For cleaning, what do you call it? Wester.
Yeah.
Can you use any kind of Wester? Can you take off your t-shirt and go, my t-shirt, I'm going to use it. So these are the questions that we want to answer. Some of these same things are safe to use. Some of them will damage your computer. So you can't use anything. You can use certain things. So today we want to learn what are the things that are safe to you when cleaning our computers. And some of these things, it will also translate for phones. I know most of us, we deal with phones. Phones nowadays, a smartphone is a computer. It's a handheld computer. If you open the phone, you would find not the same size, but you would find the same thing. The phone has RAM, it has a CPU, it has storage, it has wires, it has ports, it has power, right? It has a monitor, it has a screen. Your phone, okay? This thing is the same as that. The phone. How? This is a more advanced technology, so they made the parts smaller, but all the same things that are in that box are in this box. Huh? It doesn't need a fan. So, one of the reasons these things are expensive is it takes a lot of research to figure out how do you make chips, the CPU and the memory, that don't make so much heat. That's a very hard engineering problem. And that's what makes it easy expensive. Alright, you're excited to find out?
Yeah.
So, first question, how often should you clean your computer? It depends. What kind of environment. If you're at home, you use it once in a while, you keep the house clean. Maybe you need to clean it once a year, once every 2 years. That might be enough. If you're in a very, in a warehouse, or in a factory floor, with a computer on the factory floor, with a lot of dust and things happening, then you might need to clean it every 3 months, or even more. It depends on where you're going. So, general cleaning tips. We're going to see a number of different suggestions for how to clean, what to use when cleaning, for different parts of it. So we're going to look at the case itself. So the case is just the outer, the plastic and metal that surrounds the whole box. This is the panel from the case. So one part of it is just cleaning the outside. Where did this screw go? So there's the case, there's the fan inside, there's the motherboard and other parts, then there's the monitor, the keyboard, and the mouse. So we're going to look at each of those parts. First rule of computer cleaning, never spray any liquid. Not water, not alcohol, not cleaning solutions. Don't put liquid inside a computer. Right? That's why if you get some water on your phone, the first thing you do, turn off the phone, let it dry. Why? Because water is an electrical conductor. And most every liquid has some kind of charge. And if it's an electrical conductor, it will short. It's like taking a wire. If I take a piece of metal wire and I go here and here, and the computer's going to, and then it's this. It can't do anything. You have to throw it out. So if you put liquid in a computer, what you're doing is like putting metal wires in there and hoping that nothing goes wrong. It's probably going to work. So never spray onto a computer. There are some parts, like the fan blade, you could clean. And if you need to use a bit of liquid, put it on the cloth, on the wet strip, and then light. But don't put liquid directly on the computer. Okay. Someone said you can use a blower. This is called compressed air. You may or may not have seen it before. It's like a spray can, and it just blows air, like air. So it's very safe. I was hoping I could have one to show you. Okay. And they usually come with this little red straw, which comes attached to the bottle, but then you put it in the nozzle, and you get you can go inside and blow dust into it. You can use a vacuum cleaner around the computer, but don't use a vacuum inside the computer. So this compressed air, right? This has nothing electric in it. This bottle of compressed air, there's no electricity. It's just air that comes out. But a vacuum cleaner is an electrical device. If you take a vacuum and you start inside, again, you're bringing electricity close to the computer part, and they don't like it. So you can vacuum around, you can vacuum the case, but don't vacuum inside. If you want to stop anywhere or ask questions or comments, please do. Second rule, whenever you're going to clean a computer or your phone or anything, it's a good idea to turn it off first. You don't usually open it. If you're going to open a computer, always turn it off. If you're using solvents, just be mindful if you have an allergy. So if you're just needing to clean the case, or maybe like here, we might want to wipe a little bit here in the fan. That's a good bit of dust in there. So maybe I want to get the luster, and then we go here. And maybe there's a bit of like oily paint that gets stuck. Maybe I want to put a bit of water on my luster, and then go in and just clean the fan. But only the fan line. I always put water. I would never take the luster and put water and start wiping the mother. That is not a good idea. There's a comment, yeah. be careful, so go slowly, so you don't, there are tiny little switches inside on the motherboard. In here, there are tiny switches, and if you flip the switch, your computer will run differently or it may not run. The reason those switches are there is the motherboard, so you might design one motherboard, but they make different computers. So you say, with this motherboard, if we put this CPU chip, the switch should be like this. If we put a different CPU chip, the switch should be like that. And if you don't notice that you have flipped that little switch, it will be very hard. You will wonder, why is my computer like this? Go slowly, be careful. I don't know why it says make sure not to disconnect the plug. So if your computer is turned off, it's safe to unplug them. Just make sure you put them back where they go. Common sense? When you're cleaning fans, yes. So, for example, again, if I wanted to clean these fan blades, you can feel if I move this, it comes back. Yeah. It doesn't spin wildly, it comes back. So if when you're cleaning it, you're making it turn, you're actually damaging the mechanism of the fan, the fan motor. So if you aren't sure if you can keep it still, especially smaller fans, they're very easy to break that way. They will spin, but they shouldn't. So you just use your finger to hold something in place and then spin around so that the fan stays. The blade will in. If you try to clean a fan with compressed air, or with the vacuum, you may damage it. So that's one place that compressed air, you have to be careful. You might want to just wipe it down. And common sense again, you shouldn't eat or drink around the computer. We all do it, but we shouldn't. And also smoking around the computer. So smoking actually creates particles in the air. You will get everything, including the Alright. So, cleaning tools. What can we use for cleaning our computer? There are specialized products for cleaning computers. But you can also use certain household items. You just have to know which ones. So we're going to see some of this. So, one is a cloth, which you call a wetness. A cotton is that's for I think microfiber. What you want is a cloth that will not leave traces. You know how some cloths, if you like wipe a window, you see little fibers left on the window or on a surface. So you don't want to use that kind of cloth. If the cloth leaves fibers, won't use it on the computer. You want something that stays, all the fibers stay in the cloth. You can use paper towels. Paper towels don't leave fibers so much, but they can rip easily. So I would use a paper towel on the outside of the cake. Maybe on some big areas, like the bottom of the inside here, you can also touch it on the side. But I wouldn't go in little places with the paper towel, because it rips easily, and then you have little bits of things you have to figure out how to get out of it. But in general, the cloth is better, except for, so we're talking about the whole computer, like cleaning the monitor, cleaning the keyboard, the mouse, the case. So when you get inside, you don't use the cloth to wipe the motherboard. The motherboard is very sensitive. So generally, you want to not touch it as much as possible. So we said water, you shouldn't spray a liquid in a computer, but you can use a little bit on the cloth, and then use the cloth to wipe, let's say, the monitor, the keyboard, usually the outside part, or just the inside of the case, where there's no circuitry. So you want to avoid liquid and electrical circuits, do not mix. Basically, liquid and electric circuits do not mix. Okay. Water or alcohol is usually fine for most surfaces. If you're using a different kind of solvent, not water, not alcohol, just be careful, check whether it's okay for plastic. Some plastics don't like alcohol. And other things you can use are cotton swabs for getting into maybe harder to reach areas, or keyboard and you want to get between your keys, cotton swab can be useful. Are there any electric circuits inside a keyboard?
Yes.
Yeah? Sure? Yeah? 100% sure? 100 plus? That's pretty sure. Who has seen the inside of a keyboard before? You have? Without losing any of the okay. And phone swab. I couldn't find a quick picture of the phone swab, but you know sponges. So a phone sponge, but they make some that are small and they have a stick attached, so you can use it to get into the That's also good. Just make so in general, whatever kind of swab. A swab is basically a stick with a little cotton or something on the end for cleaning and collecting. During COVID, we had swabs where we had to, and then you would test it. So you want lint-free. You should know the word lint-free. Lint is, you know when I said that the Western leaf fibers on the left? We call that lint. It's leaving little bits of the cloth. Right? So you want a lint-free cloth, a lint-free cloth, something that doesn't leave fibers. The other thing you can use is a portable vacuum. So they look like this. Notice, this is battery operated. It's not connected to the wall. This can be one way to clean, especially the outside, and very carefully, maybe the metal parts inside, but not close to the computer. Because it generates static electricity. You know what is static electricity? What is static electricity? Do you ever touch a doorknob, like a metal doorknob, and get a shock? Has that ever happened? That's static electricity. You build up some electrons in you, and you go to touch something, and that's static electricity. And that's what you want to be careful of. When you're using electrical things, they can build up some static electricity. When you go to an electrical computer, you can use it, but be very careful. And as I said, don't use a vacuum that's plugged into the wall, because it will generate more static. Okay. So that's what we can use. That was the tools. So we said we need cloth, a lint-free cloth, preferably, like a cotton cloth, pressor, water or rubbing alcohol. Rubbing alcohol means like 70%. But again, you use it by putting it on the pressor and then using that to light, but never the electrical circuit. Swabs, either cotton swabs or foam swabs, for hard to reach places, and the portable vacuum can also be useful. So for example, I used it on my keyboard, not this one, but I have a keyboard at home. I use my portable vacuum to get hair and things out of it. So now we're going to look at the different parts of the computer. Sorry? You've seen a computer repaired using a brush. A toothbrush. Yes, a toothbrush can be a good tool. The toothbrush allows you to get in somewhere, and then you can. You want to be careful what you. So, a toothbrush is not electric. I don't think it creates static electricity, so in a way it's safer. I would still be very careful about using it on a motherboard or the electrical circuit part. But for example, I want it clean on the back here, or in there, or inside the fan, like the fan blade. I want to get, the fan blades are curved away from me, so I have to get in there and clean the surface. The toothbrush would be very good. What if you use a working as a using when this is usually you take a cloth like a pen and you go touch in here. No, like one day they want to cover it. Yeah. That's like as a way to protect from that. This is an interesting question. Very good one. If I say you want to avoid getting dust and things on your motherboard, so you say, well, maybe I should cover it with something. Like a cloth. I open the case, I put a cover, and then I close it. What do you think? Accumulation of heat. Heat might be an issue. What was it? The windows, the air vents. Yeah. In a way, the purpose of the case is already covered. So normally you don't want to put the case over. So that protects a lot of it. And then the grills here, or these grills, need to be open. It needs to allow air in. So you can't 100% protect it from things getting in, because some things have to get out. Alright. But that's a good question. I like that question.